in front of a live studio audience of one. Tim Hagberg, it's now time for Mel in the middle. And yes, I'm stuck once again.
We did say we'd be going live.
Yeah, we will be someday.
This is kind of
soon.
live.
It is kind of live.
For someone.
Right. So here's a trial run.
Yeah, so we are live, technically. We didn't lie.
It's true. But not now.
Not for everybody else.
Yeah. So we're halfway there. All right. As you know, I'm going to be asked something that I have no idea what's coming. And when it comes, I might answer one way at the start and find myself processing this thing through because Summer and Andy always have great insights which make me grimace, which make me get the scrunchy face, but help me to see where this question is answered best. So here we go. Question?
I feel like it's getting to be too automatic, right? It's just always coming. We need Summer to have some more questions.
I know that would be interesting.
See, no. I inspire the questions.
If we can't get Summer to have more questions, Mel, do you think maybe we could exchange her for an Amber?
Exchange me.
Do you think maybe there's an Amber out there who's watching?
Wait. I inspire the questions beforehand.
You do.
In other content or conversations. And then I take very much part in the question afterwards. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why you need to exchange me. All you have to do is come up with a question.
Should we keep her now?
Absolutely.
All right, here we go. Here's the question. The question
Snow in the middle and Summer on the side.
All right. You have to. All right, got to bear with me because actually I'm going to start this question. I know Summer's going to take it over because it's really her question.
Oh,
right?
See?
So here's the question. Now, we were sitting with a distinguished individual the other day, right? We were sitting and we were talking about housing, right?
Okay.
And this distinguished individual said that they had a heart to minister to people through housing. Are you following me?
Okay.
Right. So we were having this discussion about housing, and someone, no names mentioned, who might be sitting next to you on the side, said to this person, "Can I ask you a hard question?" And I don't know what people out there know, but when Summer asks you if she can ask you a hard question, it's usually a hard question, right? So she says to this gentleman, "What happens when the world goes kaput and there is no more money for housing?" So he sat there for a little while, dumbfounded by the question, because again, you can't wrap your mind around no money.
Yeah, actually, he said, "What do you mean?" Like, what
Several
do you mean,
times,
no money?
"What do you mean?" And so she finally had to come
No
out and
money.
say, "There's no money to pay you for the housing."
Everyone's equal.
Right?
Like,
what would you do was her question. What would you do? And his answer was basically, well, I guess, besides I don't know, it was, I guess I wouldn't do housing anymore. So my question is, does this person really have a heart for housing? Or do they have more of a heart for making money through the ministry of housing? Right? Does that make sense?
Making money through the Ministry of Housing?
Right. So again, if you have a heart for housing people, right?
Okay.
All of a sudden, all the money in the world goes away. Can't you still house people? Isn't it possible to still house people?
My first thought is, yeah, you would be able to still house people.
But if somebody said to you, well, I guess I wouldn't be able to house people, or no, I can't, I wouldn't keep housing people, then do they have a heart for housing people, or do they seem to have a heart for the money in housing people?
So it sounds like, if I'm understanding correctly, there is a financial incentive involved for housing people.
Mm-hmm. They house people, they
well,
get rent money.
It's a big focus, right? Because you got to approve people to move in, and there's income restrictions and things like that, right? Through that whole process. So my thought was like, well, what if there was no income? What are the restrictions then? Right? Like, what's your measure for housing them. Mm-hmm. Right? If the money disappears. Should we give him another example?
No, I want to give him the example that I want to give him, which is so Mel, that was a distinguished person out here.
Okay.
So Mel in the middle. If all the money goes away and nobody's paying you to be a pastor anymore, are you going to still be a pastor, Mel McGinnis?
That is a real tough question.
You can look that way because it's her
So,
fault.
well, can I bring up last night?
You go right ahead.
Okay, so we, at church, we had, see, because I asked this question twice this week in different ways. So that was the first one. And then we had, like the tech people that put the internet stuff up at church, they had a meeting on Monday. And it was like, I don't know, it took up like most of the day, like 7 hours, 6 hours of all this stuff, right? And then they were talking about it again last night at Bible study. And they're just talking about it and all these things. And I just started laughing. Because I'm like that, right? I just started laughing. And I stopped the person and I said, can I ask you a question? It's kind of random. And I said, what if there's no internet? And it's like, because I'm thinking like, how much time are you spending trying to put this stuff on the internet, right? And okay, yeah, we're doing that, whatever, that's fine. But like what I was saying to Andy is, are you spending that much or more time focusing on Jesus? Like, and then I said to this person, I said, okay, you're doing this stuff. This is what you're doing at church. You're putting the tech stuff out. You're doing this. You're doing that job. You're the sound guy. You're the whatever guy. You're the. Is that your calling or is it a job? Like, if the internet goes away, are you going to get out of your house and be like, I am burdened to get the gospel out to all these people that I was last Sunday with the internet? Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Right? Is that your burden? Is that your calling? Or is it just a job you're doing?
Yeah.
Is it your calling to house people and shelter them and help their life? Or is it a job you're doing?
Right. So Mel.
So are you a shepherd or is it your job?
Or hired hand.
There you go. Either way, Mel, on the record, if the money goes away tomorrow, poof, gone.
Everything.
Are you still going to be a pastor?
I mean, when I hear that question, I think in my mind, I would say, I'll do it no matter what. But I would also say, would I? Would I? I don't know. What if there was another opportunity someplace else that did offer a package that was much better? That is a very good question because I also think of these pastors in Vietnam that I've been praying for. They're so discouraged of small churches and they're thinking about giving it up. So I just pray for them that they keep on doing that work even though they have such small congregations. Would I keep on pastoring? It's interesting you say that because I said, okay, that could put me in a Paul situation where he at times went hungry, where he at times was cold.
Yeah.
He knew it all to have plenty and in want. And I said, can I make that kind of sacrifice? And that is a...
Well, and that's where this could go in so many ways, right? Where you have to answer that one question. You could say, yeah, it's my calling. Well, first the easy one. Well, no, it's not my calling. I'm just going to get a job, right? It's a job. And then you realize, why was I doing this? It was a job. Or you can say, yeah, it's my calling, and go the route of like, well, I need a job because I need the money, right? And then you're dealing with, well, it's my calling, but I don't trust God to take care of me and my calling. I don't trust God to give me the things he said that he knows I need, that he will provide. Now, not the things I want. Maybe you downsize. Maybe you don't have a car. Maybe you speed walk everywhere, Mel.
Yeah.
Maybe. But God said he'll give you everything you need. And in the United States, we have no clue what that looks like.
Yeah.
Right? We don't know what need looks like. We need
No.
our Xbox. We need
Right.
our cell phone. God doesn't say that. He says he'll give you what you need. So then you're like, okay, do I trust God in my calling? If I'm saying it's my calling, do I trust him to actually take care of me? And am I okay with whatever that looks like?
Yeah.
Because I know if I go outside of my calling, I'm going to be miserable, even if I have a bunch of money.
So if there's no money at Kyneton, right? And God says, Mel, don't go anywhere, right? The people of Kyneton come up and they say, Mel, we can't pay you money. But what we will do is every night a different person will make you a meal and you can spend the night on their couch.
That'd be awesome.
Right?
I'd
You
do
can
that so fast.
eat the meal, spend the night on their couch. The next day, go to the church, do your stuff. Then that next night, go to the next person's house. You're just going to rotate like that for a while, right? You're going to be taken care of like that for a while. You're going to be fed. You're going to be sheltered, right? Are you still going to be the pastor at Kyneton Community Church? Especially if there are some options out there where you might be better taken care of.
Like a
Oh.
normal pastor.
Yeah, see, it's interesting you bring that up because I was thinking options.
Yep.
What if I was offered a 6-figure salary
Well, of
at a
course you
church?
would be, because wouldn't the enemy do that in such a pivotal point of your life, right? Where God's like, you better figure me out. And the enemy's going to be like, look.
No, I mean like right now.
Right.
If I were offered
right
a
now,
6-figure
right. Oh, yeah,
salary,
well, still, yeah. Mm-hmm.
see, I would say I'd turn it down. I really feel like I would. No, it's not about the salary. It's the calling where I'm at. However, if it was all ripped out from underneath me so
And
that
then
I
you
did...
were offered it.
So you're sleeping
Yeah.
on people's couches and eating at their houses at night. And Church A comes up and says, Mel, 6 figures. God says, Mel, stay where you are, Mel.
So, Mel, can I ask you a harder question?
Oh, can there be a harder question?
Yeah. So, you said you'd turn it down now
Yep.
because you were where you were at
Yep.
in this normal circumstance.
Yep.
So, is it real? But you said if it was all ripped away, if all the money was ripped away, right, that you may consider this now. So, is it really your calling right now, or are you just comfortable?
Uh-oh. I'm glad you're Mel in the middle.
It's the scrunchy face time.
Do you have just enough money that it doesn't matter, and you're like, oh, I'm comfortable. I don't really have to think about it. Maybe God put me here 20 years ago. I don't know how long you've been there. Maybe God put
20
me here
years ago.
But maybe he's been telling you to leave for a long time. You don't even know it because you're comfortable.
I would say no. Well... Oh, these are good questions.
Should we have someone call you with an offer to find out?
Good thing you have a one studio audience member.
No, yeah.
And not like
I just-
your congregation.
No, I just feel like I gotta stay. I just got to stay. I got to see this thing through.
Okay, so no, Mel, lots
Well-
of people would say they gotta stay.
Is that you, though?
But would they stay? Couches, people's food,
I don't
rotational
know.
basis.
Even this thought process. I don't
Or
know.
think of what you could do for missions. Think of what you could do for those people in Vietnam, Mel.
I would
Oh,
so prefer. I would.
$100,000.
I know.
I'm the type
Gotta
that
be
would
from
rather
God.
the rotating couch thing. I'd be like slumber party every night. That's awesome. Let's do it. I'd be all about that. I would prefer that over regular salary and living by myself in my house. I'd be like, sign me up. I'll come to your house tomorrow and your house the next. I'd love that. That'd be like an adventure every day. I would seriously love that. I'd be like, I'm bringing my 18-wheeler of shoes. I'm gonna park in your front yard, but we'll do it. It'll be fun. We'll play games. Got my wardrobe out front. It's in a pod. But like, seriously, like,
Somehow she just torpedoed her own example. No finances, Mel, but I'm going to bring all my shoes and clothes.
because I already have them.
Yeah.
So
What
now,
my
Mel,
God.
what are you going to do? Mel, what the people at Kyneton want to know? The salary goes away,
Oh, Mel, the answer's so easy.
and Mel,
See, I know a pat answer would be,
The Sunday
Well,
school answer would be what?
The circumstances are leading me to go another direction.
That's right. God must be moving me out.
Yeah, but that may not be it.
I'm guessing it's not, especially if God said, don't go.
Right. Because why am I sensing I just need to stay for these people?
Is it your calling? Or is it a job?
I really feel like it is a calling. I do.
Then it looks like you're bound for couches.
That's awesome. That'd be fun.
Of course,
So you get one
there
that's a
isn't a
really bad
single
cook.
person who owns a couch big enough for you to lay on.
I might.
I could do.
It's in my basement though.
So Matt, listen, the reason we're thinking about this, why we were talking about it
Yeah.
last night Bible study is, I think everybody agrees we're entering a time right now of uncertainty. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't think we've thought a lot about the internet going away like that, and yet they're talking about that.
Yep.
Right? I think we're not thinking about the stock market tumbling as it is again today. Mm-hmm. Right? Like all of a sudden, all these things are going to affect things, right? Including churches, right?
Yeah.
I was saying to some people this morning, I didn't grow up in a time where we did bomb shelter drills, right?
Right.
So where we did the whole hide under your desk
Yep.
things,
Yep.
stuff like that. But you could actually today, you could foresee that happening, right? You could foresee students practicing this kind of stuff, right? Where things could happen. So I think these questions, these type of questions are relevant. If you have a heart to feed people, but part of that's based on the donations of other people, right? So you can go out and you can buy the food and you can give it to people. What happens when you don't get the donations?
Yeah.
Do you quit feeding people? Do you quit housing people? Do you quit clothing people? But more importantly, do you quit pastoring, shepherding, and taking care of people? I think Summer's original thing was spot on. If I have a calling to preach and I can no longer do it at my church, am I going to go outside of my house on Sunday mornings, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Am I going to still do it? Or am I going to say, well, until God gives me a building, I can't preach?
Ow, right. I hope I wouldn't land on that kind of thinking. Meaning, since you and I
Yeah.
have this call,
Yeah.
we got to do it. And that means we'd be like John Wesley, who wasn't allowed in certain churches
Yeah.
because he wouldn't follow the government line or whatever.
Yeah.
So he preached open air. And maybe that may be.
Saddle up your horse.
Yeah.
Like there aren't, and if it's God's thing, there are no parameters.
Yeah.
Right, and like I've been thinking about all these things for a while, like a while, because like we're talking about all this stuff, and people are just still playing house and playing church and all these things, and I'm like, you're gonna implode on yourself when everything just poof disappears. Like, I believe it's going to happen. I know judgment's coming. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I know it's going to be catastrophic to this country. And I know that everyone is going to be hiding in their basement on their beanbag chair, and they're going to be thinking about like food and guns and money and stocks and crap like that. Right? And I'm like, the prep part, this is why I'm thinking about this stuff, because the prepping that we have to do now is our relationship with Christ, so that, Mel, the answer I wanted to hear from you was, I have no clue. I would pray about it, right? We don't know. We don't know what we would do. You have no clue what you would do if money disappeared. We can all say, well, here's my plan. We don't have a plan. If that stuff really happened, we would freak out, right? We would freak out if money disappeared. If the internet disappeared, we'd be like, oh my gosh, right? We wouldn't know what to do. We'd go into panic mode. Right? Just like everybody in the Bible that God had to say, fear not to, over and over and over, right? They'd be scared. We have to be ready in the spiritual aspect for these things, in the way that we say, all right, God, like, I need you to tell me. I need you to tell me. And then we got to be brave enough to just do it. I said last night, if the internet disappears, okay, like Facebook went down for like 5 whole minutes, literally like 2 hours, a few months ago, remember? And like everybody lost it, and that was just Facebook. That wasn't every social media platform. That wasn't the internet. That wasn't all phone communication. That was just one website right? And people lost it. I said, listen, I sold cell phones for 16 years. I'm telling you right now, if they went brick, people would kill themselves, literally, because their identity is wrapped up in that. Some people only have businesses online. Like, their whole life is wrapped up in their cell phone and the internet and this whole thing. I'm like, if that really happened, if the internet completely disappeared, like for longer than 1 second glitch, like it would be The Walking Dead outside. People would be running around, stealing, killing, looting, taking your food, your car, and anything they could because they're like, well, that's it, right? And in reality, most people would be hiding in their basement. They would be hiding, and they would be scared, or they would be out doing all the sick things that they've had in their head for the last however many years. They'd be doing them, right? So, like I said, are you going to be in the place with Christ where you say, okay, God, what do I do now? Because you're not just going to drive to church on Sunday. What do I do? And then you got to be brave enough to, like, walk out the front door. Right? We were talking about Joshua and the Jordan, right? It's like stepping into the Jordan. You're going to step into the flooding waters when there's all these psychos outside trying to steal your car and your stuff and whatever. You're going to walk out your front door when God says, go outside and do whatever, right? You're going to be brave enough and do that. That's why I'm listening to these conversations right now, and I'm just like, this is so pointless. This is pointless. Like, we're worried about. I get we have to continue to live, right? You don't become a busybody and just say, Jesus is coming, I'll just chill out in my basement. You have to keep living and keep doing your thing and keep going along. But again, are we spending 7 hours worrying about techie stuff and then 3 minutes that morning on my devotional? You get what I'm saying?
I hear you.
This is where I'm like, pointing these things out. I'm like, this should not be the main conversation.
Yeah.
Why can't all these people get together who got together for that meeting get together and study the Word together? They don't all get together and study the Word together. It's like, well, why can't you do that? Why can't you be passionate enough about that? Because that's supposedly what you're putting online for everybody. Is the Word. So how passionate are you about the content that you're putting online? You know what I mean? This is what I'm worried about. I'm worried about where everybody's at with Jesus right now and what we're really focused on.
Exactly.
So that I say would be my answer to that question is I don't know. I have no clue what I'm going to do. I'm going to pray hard and beg God to tell me very clearly.
Yeah.
And say, God, you just make sure I know this is you before I walk out my front door because I'm going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting because I remember the prayer you prayed this morning. God, help us not to be our own troubleshooters. I said, that stuck with me the whole day because I feel like I try to immediately take care of my own troubles first.
Why I prayed it. Yes.
So if this kind of stuff happened, Val, what better place would there for you to be as a pastor to these people than on their couches rotating on a nightly basis? In their homes, encouraging them, eating with them. Would there be a better place to be?
Right. I mean,
maybe not.
I see Amber's point. Can you imagine the interaction you'd have with people? Because I think in a situation like that, people would be more in tune with God, given the circumstances.
Amen.
Yeah.
And that's where the role as pastor can really step up in ways to elevate other people's relationship with God to a greater way.
So would God move pastors from the pulpit to the couch?
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Has he been trying to do this for the last 2 years, right? Because I keep saying over and over, it says suddenly in the Bible, suddenly, this happens suddenly, but it's not suddenly. It's after 30, 50, 400, 2,000 years of warning from him, right? He says, here's what's coming, here's what's coming, here's what's coming, and then suddenly, right? So for the last 2 years at least, with just COVID, has he been doing that? Did he close your church for X amount of period of time to try to maybe etch a sketch, shake you up? Right? Did he say, hello?
Yeah.
Like, figure it out. Figure it out now while you have a choice, because soon you're not going to have one. and I'm giving you a dry run. I'm giving you a boot
Yes.
camp. I'm giving you training
Yes.
so that you can be ready for when you don't have a choice anymore.
Right.
And have we ignored it this whole time?
Or when you'll be forced to make a choice.
Yeah, right. I gave you a chance, and then you're gonna look back and be like, "Oh crap! 3 years ago, I probably could have done this, and yeah, we would have been ready, and we all would have been doing this." And
My guess is that when God grabs the Etch-a-Sketch and shakes it,
man, he's already doing it.
you're not going to unshake it.
No, you know what you got to do with an Etch-a-Sketch? You got to very tediously rebuild it, for one little thing at a time, right?
And maybe God Etch-a-Sketch shakes just to the point that he wants. Maybe the whole picture doesn't disappear.
It
Maybe
just fades.
part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he goes back to the foundations and says, Mel, you're not a pastor because you have a pulpit. You're a pastor because I called.
Exactly.
So trade your pulpit in for a couch.
Yeah. That may be.
Or a rock, or a stump outside.
Or
Just make sure you bring your tractor trailer load full of shoes.
or what David.
Lots to think about here.
Yeah, what David Brainerd had to do. I heard that he had to sleep in a haystack from time to time. A haystack! That was his hotel room!
Well, who are we that we shouldn't? Look at, come on. Deserts.
Right?
No food
I
for 40
know.
days. No food and water for 40 days. No food and no water for 40 days. You want to live on the magical loaf and water that Elijah lived off of for 40 days and just, like seriously. So a haystack, okay, that's pretty cushy.
I've slept in some haystacks. It's pretty good, actually.
Way better than up against a tree
Yeah.
or on a rock in a desert. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Why do we think we're any different than these guys?
Yeah.
We're not any different in calling and power and authority, and we're no different in trials and sufferings.
Yeah.
So we need to
Yeah.
figure that out.
Because as you draw up the scenario, I'm still thinking it's not so much survival. Oh, that's going to be on my mind. But calling. That the calling will continue no matter what.
If you're alive.
Even if it means you won't be alive. I mean, to the point of it costs me my life.
Yeah.
I love you to death takes on a whole new meaning.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Good job, Mel. You did
All right.
great.
Hey, wow! I survived!
Ish.
and we still have our live audience with us right now.
Yeah, who knows what he's thinking. He's like poor sucker Mel up there.
So, until next time, this is Mel in the Middle.